Before you keep listening, take one slow breath and be honest with yourself. There is someone you still think about at random hours, in quiet rooms, in busy moments, and even when you try not to. That does not happen for no reason. And the distance between you and that person may not mean what you think it means. It may look like silence, it may look like mixed signals, it may look like absence. But what if the truth is heavier than that? What if the space between you is not coldness at all, but emotion that became too deep, too fast, and too difficult to carry? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes you may understand why someone can care so much and still hold back. And once you see it clearly, you may never look at silence the same way again. What feels confusing on the surface may hide something intense underneath, something real, something unfinished, and yes, something that still has your name on it. When one person keeps returning to your mind again and again, it is rarely just a random habit. It usually means the connection touched a deeper part of you. And if distance has grown between you, whether emotional distance, physical separation, or total silence, then listen carefully. The first truth is this: the person you cannot stop thinking about may still care about you more than they know how to say. Not in a loud way, not in a dramatic way, not in the kind of way that always sends messages, makes promises, or shows up at the perfect time. Their care can live in quieter places, in memory, in hesitation, in the small private moments where your name crosses their mind and stays there longer than they expected. They have not simply erased you and moved on without feeling anything. Pieces of you remain with them: your voice, your energy, the way you made them feel seen, calm, or understood. Those details do not disappear when someone feels nothing. They stay because something important happened. So if you have been asking yourself why the distance exists, do not rush to call it rejection. Sometimes love does not move people closer right away. Sometimes it does the opposite. Sometimes it makes them stop, step back, and realize they are standing in front of emotions they do not feel ready to handle. Deep feelings can wake up fear faster than courage. That is the part many people do not talk about. When someone begins to care in a real way, they do not only feel warmth, they also feel risk. They feel exposure. They begin to notice their old wounds, their hidden weakness, the parts of themselves they hoped nobody would touch. Real affection can shine light into rooms inside a person that have stayed locked for years. Old pain, fear of loss, fear of not being enough, fear of ruining something good. And when all of that rises at once, even a sincere heart can retreat. So their distance is not always a lack of care. Sometimes it is an inner battle. They may want closeness and still pull away. They may want to speak and still remain quiet. Their mind fills with heavy questions. What if I disappoint them? What if I cannot love them the way they deserve? What if this becomes too serious and I lose control of my own emotions? Do not miss this part, because it explains more than people realize. A person can feel deeply and still move backwards. A person can love what they see in you and still fear what that love will ask of them. And from the outside, that inner conflict can look exactly like indifference, even when it is not. That is why silence can be so misleading. You may look at the gap and think nothing is there. But sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes the heart is too full, not too empty. Sometimes the pause is not proof that feelings died, but proof that emotions became too strong to express in a normal way. The person in your mind may remember your conversations in quiet moments. They may replay the way you looked at them, the tone of your voice, the safety they felt in your presence. They may think of reaching out and then stop themselves at the last second. Not because you mean nothing, but because you mean too much. Their distance can become a shield, a method of self-protection, a way to keep themselves from falling deeper into something they fear they cannot manage. And yes, this can be painful for you, because silence still hurts no matter the reason behind it. But if you judge the situation only by visible action, you may miss the invisible truth. Care can live in pauses. Love can exist in restraint. Emotion can remain strong even when expression becomes weak. So before you assume the gap means your value is low or their feelings are gone, understand this. Many people pull away most when they are standing close to something that could truly change them. And change, even beautiful change, can feel terrifying to someone who has not healed yet. There is also a harder truth hidden under that fear. Sometimes they look at you and see someone emotionally open, sincere, and capable of real closeness, and instead of feeling secure, they feel small. They compare their confusion to your depth. They compare their hesitation to your honesty. They compare their wounds to your willingness to love. And in that comparison, they may believe they fall short. They may quietly tell themselves that you deserve someone steadier, stronger, more ready, more healed. So rather than try and risk failing, they step back. This is one of the most painful forms of care because it creates distance while still holding feeling underneath. They may think they are protecting you from disappointment. They may think silence is kinder than showing up half-ready. They may think withdrawal is better than giving you a broken version of themselves. But from your side, it can feel confusing, cold, and unfair. And that confusion is real. Still, their retreat may not come from a lack of heart. It may come from a mind full of doubt and a nervous system that has learned to fear closeness. Stay with this because it matters. A person who is not healed may deeply want connection and still sabotage it. They may dream of closeness while choosing distance. They may miss you and avoid you at the same time. That contradiction is not logical, but human feelings are often not logical. They are layered, defensive, and full of hidden history. Now think about your side of this connection. Why do your thoughts keep circling back? Why does this person return to your mind even when you try to focus elsewhere? It is often because the bond did not end in a clean way. Something about it feels unfinished. Words were left unsaid. Feelings were never fully confirmed. The story paused before it reached a clear shape, and the mind does not easily let go of what feels incomplete. It keeps revisiting the memory, not because you are weak, but because part of you is still searching for resolution. You replay moments. You imagine different outcomes. You wonder what would have happened if timing had been better, if fear had been smaller, if honesty had arrived sooner. This is what unresolved emotion does. It keeps the door slightly open in your inner world. And every small reminder can bring the whole connection back to life for a moment. A song, a street, a certain hour at night, a phrase someone says that sounds like them. If this is happening to you, do not shame yourself for it. It does not mean you are stuck beyond hope. It means the experience mattered. It touched something real in you. And when a bond carries emotional weight, the heart does not close on command. It moves in circles. It returns to what still feels alive. It waits for understanding. It waits for peace. Sometimes it even waits for courage on both sides. This is where patience becomes important, but not the kind of patience that makes you abandon yourself. Real patience means understanding what may be true without losing your own balance in the process. Yes, they may care. Yes, they may be fighting private fears. Yes, they may still carry you in their heart. But that does not mean you must shrink your needs, silence your pain, or live forever inside uncertainty. Listen closely here, because this part can change everything. Someone can feel strong affection for you and still not be ready to love you in a healthy, steady, present way. Both things can be true at once. Their feelings may be real, and their capacity may still be limited. Their love may exist, and their behavior may still leave you lonely. Their heart may be sincere, and their actions may still be inconsistent. That is why you must learn to see both the tenderness and the truth. Do not romanticize distance so much that you start calling neglect devotion. Do not ignore your own emotional reality just because you sense hidden feeling underneath theirs. Care matters, but readiness matters too. Consistency matters too. Emotional availability matters too. And if those things are missing, then the connection may still teach you something important, even if it cannot fully hold you right now. Keep listening, because the next part reveals why this space has such power over both of you. One reason this distance feels so intense is because the connection may have activated personal change in both hearts. You may have shown them parts of themselves they were not prepared to face. Your presence may have called out their longing, their insecurity, their hunger for closeness, their fear of being seen too clearly. And when a connection begins to transform someone from the inside, it can feel overwhelming. Real change is not always welcomed at first. It can feel like losing control. It can feel like standing at the edge of a new life without knowing whether you are brave enough to step forward. So they pause the process. They create distance. They tell themselves it is temporary or necessary or safer this way. Meanwhile, you feel the absence and wonder, what changed? What changed is that the bond became real enough to matter. And when something matters, old defenses rise. That is why pressure usually makes these situations worse. Forcing answers, demanding certainty, trying to make everything happen quickly often pushes a fearful heart further back. Some truths need calm space before they can fully surface. Some people only understand what they feel after the noise inside them settles. That does not excuse harmful behavior, but it explains the delay. It explains the silence. It explains why someone can seem distant while privately carrying deep emotion that still has not found a clean way out. And while all of this is happening, you are learning too. You are learning that love is not always simple. You are learning that chemistry is not the same as readiness. You are learning that being deeply felt is not the same as being fully chosen. That lesson can sting, but it is powerful. It teaches you how to separate your worth from someone else's fear. It teaches you not to blame yourself for another person's unfinished healing. It teaches you that your ability to love deeply is not a mistake. In fact, it is one of your greatest strengths. The pain comes when that strength meets someone who recognizes its beauty but does not yet know how to receive it without panic. So if you have been blaming yourself, stop there. Their distance is not proof that you asked for too much. It may simply mean you offered something real to someone who was still learning how to hold real love. And that says more about their journey than your value. Remember this line, because it matters more than most people think. You can be deeply loved in someone's heart and still not be properly met in their actions. If you understand that, you stop begging confusion to become clarity. You stop trying to earn what should flow freely. You stop treating silence like a puzzle you must solve in order to deserve peace. Still, it is also true that they think about you, probably more than they show. In late hours, in small, quiet pauses, in those moments when life becomes still and memory grows loud. They wonder how you are. They replay certain conversations. They imagine what might have happened if they had been braver, calmer, more healed, more certain. They may even picture reaching out, saying the words, closing the gap. But then fear returns, hesitation returns, self-doubt returns, and the message remains unsent. The distance stays in place. From the outside, it looks like nothing. Inside them, it can feel like a storm. This is why appearances in emotional situations can be so deceptive. Someone can seem calm and detached while privately wrestling with longing, regret, and the heavy weight of what they almost had. That does not mean you should build your whole future on what they might feel, but it does mean the silence may contain more emotion than it shows. And sometimes that alone helps the heart soften. Not because it fixes the outcome, but because it frees you from the lie that none of it mattered. It mattered. The bond was real. The effect was real. The lesson is real. And whether this person returns or not, the connection has already left a mark that neither of you can fully erase. If one day they come forward again, it will not be because the feeling suddenly appeared. It will be because fear lost some of its grip. It will be because healing moved enough for courage to finally speak. It will be because the inner conflict became too exhausting to keep hiding behind silence. But until that day comes, if it comes, your work is not to wait in emotional suspension. Your work is to stay open without staying trapped, to feel honestly without giving your whole life to uncertainty, to honor what you sensed without making it your prison. This is the balance few people master. And if you can learn it, you gain something bigger than closure. You gain emotional wisdom. You learn how to hold tenderness and truth in the same hand. You learn how to understand another person's fear without turning it into your responsibility. You learn how to care without chasing, to hope without collapsing, to remember without losing yourself. That is real growth. And often, That growth becomes the hidden gift inside painful distance. Because even though the silence hurt, it taught you to see deeper. It taught you to notice the difference between love that is felt and love that is lived. And once you know that difference, you stop settling for fragments and start making room for something steadier. So, if this person is still in your thoughts, do not rush to call yourself foolish. Do not assume your heart is broken just because it still remembers. Sometimes remembrance is simply proof that something meaningful touched your life. Sometimes repeated thoughts are not a sign to chase, but a sign to understand. There was a bond here. There was unfinished emotion here. There was real care tangled with fear, timing, wounds, and silence. That mix can leave a strong echo. But let that echo teach you, not trap you. Let it show you the kind of love you want to receive in full. Let it remind you that hidden feeling is not the same as healthy connection. Let it sharpen your standards, not lower them. Because you deserve more than being secretly valued and publicly kept at a distance. You deserve affection that shows up, care that speaks, presence that does not disappear the moment feelings become serious. And if this person truly cares, life will eventually force them to face that truth in themselves. They will either gather the courage to meet you properly, or the distance will reveal that they were only meant to awaken your understanding, not become your final destination. Either way, you do not lose. You learn, you deepen. You become clearer about what love must feel like when it is ready. So breathe again and hear this clearly. The space between two people is not always empty. Sometimes it is crowded with fear, memory, longing, tenderness, regret, and all the words that never found a voice. Sometimes distance is created not because the heart feels too little, but because it feels too much and does not know how to stay steady under the weight of it. That may be the real reason behind the silence you have been trying to understand. But do not forget the final truth. Even if they care, even if they miss you, even if they love you in their own private way, your heart still deserves peace, honesty, and consistency. Never trade your self-respect for hidden emotion. Never call uncertainty your home. Let this connection mean what it meant. Let it teach what it came to teach. Let it leave its mark without deciding your future for you. And if the story is meant to continue, it will continue through courage, clarity, and action, not only through feeling. Until then, hold your head high. Stop blaming yourself for what another person has not healed. Stop shrinking to fit inside someone else's fear. What is meant for you will not need distance to survive forever. It will grow stronger in truth. And when real love is ready, it will not only be felt in silence. It will arrive in a way your heart no longer has to question.